Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Anything and Everything podcast, a show about anything, everything, and all that's in between. Today, we're back with, of course, we have our little Romeo and Juliet Act 2, Scene 2, where we left off. You should check that out if you haven't already. But I'm joined by my delightful, saucy wench. Rowan, how are you?
I am feeling great, feeling saucy.
Feeling saucy.
Feeling saucy. Really excited for this infamous balcony scene that we're going to be diving into today.
Yeah, it's long and it's got
Quite long.
It's got more than its fair share of.
It's it's not exactly as I guess you could say abstract as past scenes, in that it's really just a lot of communication and plot developing.
Yeah. And
but delightful nonetheless.
Yeah, and it almost has as many interesting facts about it as, some of Mercutio's speeches on innuendo, which is almost astounding. So,
yeah,
because they just go on. Mercutio just has an unlimited supply of innuendo. But
he really does.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to ask him if he's okay.
The famous balcony scene. We have a question.
We do. Now, this one's not as deep as questions past, because I don't think either of us can handle that tonight. If you were gifted with one superpower, which would you choose and why? Just any sort of superpower that comes to mind, I guess.
Mind manipulation.
Okay. Why?
Well, think about how powerful that is. Think about how unbelievably powerful that is.
That says so much about you.
Okay, if that's really too powerful, it doesn't need to be on like a mat. You can't mind control a nation, let's say. But let's say half of a nation.
Listen, guys. I know there's some limitations to my powers, okay? Can't manipulate an entire nation, only about a half of one. I know, I'm sorry.
Let's say about 51% of a nation.
Majority rules.
of any given nation.
Of any given nation.
What would you choose?
Oh boy. I really don't know. I feel like I answer something different every time I'm asked this on like a personality quiz or something. I love the idea of fire powers. I think that's really cool. Not exactly like all that useful day to day, but cool. Equal to fly, like invisibility, like super like cliche, like nothing like mind manipulation of 51% of a nation. Can't get that crazy, okay?
Why not?
Because I just don't have the mind capacity to think that crazy. I can't get over that. 51% of a nation. I mean, it's still the majority.
Yeah.
It's so specific.
Well,
I think if I had to choose, I think fire powers would be cool in like a fight.
Yeah, like, anytime you're approached in an alley, you will literally incinerate the competition.
I just think like Leo Valdez from the Heroes of Olympus series, or maybe water, and then I can live my Percy Jackson dreams.
Oh god,
he's got some pretty crazy like Poseidon powers. But yeah. I wouldn't say those are superpowers as much
as
he can
hold his breath.
He doesn't even have to hold his breath. He can just breathe in water, Ty. He doesn't even have to hold his breath, okay? But those aren't exactly superpowers. Those are just kind of godly powers.
A question for next week. Is it a pen? But without further ado, shall I read this scene summary, or would you like to?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to read so much of it. Okay, so we have Romeo and Juliet. And of course, Romeo stands below Juliet's balcony. The vast majority of humanity is familiar with this. It's quite the staple of any curriculum. And he's just being a bit of a creep. I mean, if she did not reciprocate his feelings, oh my God, this would be a whole different play. So not knowing that he's there, Juliet speaks out, wondering why Romeo must be a Montague and she a Capulet. She thinks a name is simply a word, and it would be easy for Romeo to take on a new name and therefore not be forbidden to her. Romeo, of course, reveals himself because he doesn't have any attention span, failed the marshmallow test first try, agreeing to forsake the name Romeo if he can have her love. And Juliet warns him that as a Montague, he'll be killed if he's spotted, but Romeo doesn't care. So this is what we've got. And of course, at the end, there's a little bit of a tidbit, which is, yeah, I might as well just say it now. So at the end, they discuss, we should get married, you know? I think that'd be
casually.
I think that would be pretty cool, not gonna lie. And so they decide to create plans, which will be followed up in the next scene. But
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
In case you didn't know.
Act 2, Scene 2, Capulet's Orchard. Enter Romeo.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing the same thing we did last week, where we read the entire scene and then we go back and analyze the entire scene. We've got 3 characters in this scene, but I would assume whoever plays Romeo would just read for Nurse at the end. So, who would you like? I know you hate Romeo, so just hate him with a passion.
Yeah, but am I fit to be Juliet? I don't know. That's
the question on everybody's minds.
This problem bounces with me. Okay.
Does it? Is this your chance to explore that?
No.
No.
No, it's not. No, thoroughly explored back in my college days, and I've finally come down to rest. But we have Romeo here.
So I take it you'll be reading from Romeo then?
Yeah.
Okay.
He jests at scars that never felt a wound. But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief, that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off. It is my lady, oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses, I will answer it. I'm too bold. 'Tis not for me she speaks. 2 of the fairest stars in all the heaven have some business to entreat her eyes, to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eyes were there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheek would shame those stars as daylight doth a lamp. Her eyes in heaven would through the airy regions stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were not night. See how she leans upon her cheek. No, rather, how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek.
Ay me.
Good Lord, she speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night, being o'er my head as is a winged messenger of heaven, unto the white, upturned, wondering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him when he bestrides the lazy, puffing clouds and sails upon the bosom of the air.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, or if thou wilt not, but be but sworn, my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
Shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this?
'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, thou not Montague. What's Montague? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo, doff thy name, and for that name which is no part of thee, take all myself.
I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth I never will be Romeo.
What man art thou that, thus bescreened at night, so stumblest on my counsel?
By a name I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself because it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, I would tear the word.
My ears have not yet drunk 100 words of that tongue's utterance, yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo and a Montague?
Neither, fair maid, if either thee dislike.
How camest thou hither? Tell me, and wherefore? That the orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and the place death considering who thou art, if any of my kinsmen find thee here.
With love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out. And what love can do, that dares love attempt. Therefore thy kinsmen are no stop to me.
If they do see thee, they will murder thee.
Alack, there lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity.
I would not for the world they saw thee here.
I have night's cloak to hide me from their sight, and but thou love me, let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than death prorogued. That is a word I haven't seen. Prorogued, wanting of thy love.
By whose direction foundest thou out this place?
By love, who first did prompt me to inquire. He lent me counsel, and I lent him eyes. I am no pilot, yet wert thou as fair as that vast shore washed with the farthest sea, I would adventure for such merchandise.
Thou knowest the mask of night is on my face, else would a maiden blush, but paint my cheek for that which thou hast heard me speak tonight. Fain would I dwell on form, fain deny what I have spoke, but farewell compliment. Dost thou love me? I know that wilt say aye, and I will take thy word. Yet if thou swearest, thou may prove false. At lovers' perjuries, they sage of laughs. Laughs. O gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully. Or if thou thinkest I am too quickly won, I'll frown and be perverse and say thee nay. So thou wilt too, but else not for the world. In truth, fair Montague, I am too fond, and therefore thou mayst think my behavior light. But trust me, gentlemen, I'll prove more true than those that have more cunning to be strange. I would have not been more strange, I must confess, than that thou overheardst me ere I was ware, but my true love's passion. Therefore pardon me, and not impute this yielding to light love, which the dark night hath so discovered.
Lady, by wonder blessed moon I vow that tips with silver all these fruit tree tops.
Swear not by the moon, the inconsistent moon, that monthly changes in her circled orb, lest that thy love prove likewise variable.
What shall I swear by?
Do not swear at all. Or if thou wilt, swear by thy gracious self, which is the god of my adultery, and I'll believe thee. Idolatry.
If my heart's dear love.
Well, do not swear. Although I joy in thee, I have no joy of this contract tonight. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden, too like the lightning which doth cease to be ere one can say it lightens. Sweet good night. This bud of love by summer's ripening breath may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. Good night, as sweet repose and rest come to thy heart as that within my breast.
Oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied?
What satisfaction canst thou have tonight?
The exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine.
I gave thee mine before thou didst request it, and yet I were to give again.
Wouldst thou withdraw it? For what purpose, love?
But to be frank and give it thee again, and yet I wish but for the thing I have. My bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love is deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite. I hear some noise within. Dear love, adieu. Anon, good nurse. Sweet Montague, be true. Stay but a little. I will come again.
Oh, blessed, blessed night. I am afeard. Being in night, all this is but a dream, too flattering sweet to be substantial.
3 words, dear Romeo, and good night indeed. If that thy bent of love be honorable, thy purpose marriage, send me word tomorrow, by one that I'll procure to come to thee, where and what time thou wilt perform the rite, and all my fortunes at thy foot I'll lay, and follow thee, my lord, throughout the world.
Madam.
I come anon, but if thou meanst not well, I do beseech thee.
Madam.
By and by I come, to cease thy suit and leave me to my grief. Tomorrow will I send.
So thrive my soul.
1,000 times good night.
1,000 times the worse to want thy light. Love goes toward love as schoolboys from their books, but love from love towards school with heavy looks.
Hist, Romeo, hist. For a falconer's voice to lure this tassel gentle back again. Bondage is hoarse and may not speak aloud, else would I tear the cave where echo lies and make her airy tongue more hoarse than mine with repetition of my Romeo's name.
It is my soul that calls upon my name, how silver sweet sound lovers' tongues by night like softest music to attending ears.
Romeo.
What? Okay. My nyas.
At what o'clock tomorrow shall I send to thee?
At the hour of 9.
I will not fail. 'Tis 20 years till then. I forgot why I did call thee back.
Let me stand here till thou remember it.
I shall forget to have thee stand there, remembering how I love thy company.
And I'll still stay to have thee still forgetting any other home but this.
'Tis almost morning, I would have thee gone. And yet no further than a wanton's bird who lets it hop a little from her hand like a poor prisoner in his twisted gyves, and with a silk thread plucks it back again, so loving, jealous of his liberty.
I would I were thy bird.
Sweet, so would I. Yet I should kill thee with much cherishing. Good night, parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night till it be morrow.
Sleep, dwell upon thine eyes, peace in thy breast. Would I were sleep and peace so sweet to rest. Hence will I to my ghostly friar's cell, his help to crave and my dear hap to tell. Okay.
Oof, stumbled through that.
Oh boy. Nyaz? My nyaz?
I don't know, man.
No, I've seen that word so many times in, actually analyzing the thing, but I never gave a second's thought to how do I pronounce that? How am I?
Like some words you just don't even try to pronounce. You just acknowledge it exists. And so you actually have to pronounce it.
How am I going to pronounce that? Oh, goodness. But yeah, so that was the balcony scene. We hope you all enjoyed.
Love that scene.
It is a good scene, isn't it?
It really is.
And Romeo isn't completely unbearable in it.
I mean, if anything, I feel like he's more unbearable.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Well, if anything, his unbearability is countered by Juliet's.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
So they're both awful. Huzzah. Okay.
Huzzah. Every time we read a scene, it makes me want to be in a production of Romeo and Juliet more and more.
I know. I'm currently, anyways, different discussion. But
that's for the other podcast.
Go check out Listening In, shameless plug. So Act 2, Scene 2, we've got entering the orchard. From Romeo, of course, not from Juliet. That wouldn't make any sense. So he just set scars that never felt a wound. This is in reference to the previous scene in which, of course, Benny and Mercutio and Benny and Merc are going about trying to call him back with some quite offensive, at least in Romeo's estimation, some very offensive words and phrases. But so that's in reference to that. And then immediately we pick back up into a new topic. So
he's really butthurt for a moment. And then he's like, oh my God, no, I'm not.
Oh my God, my angel.
My love.
In that voice, yeah.
But soft when light through yonder window breaks.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I think all romantics, you need to cast someone with a good voice for this role.
That voice is this. Ingested scars, I never felt a wound. But soft light beyond.
Okay, stop making violent, passionate love to your microphone. Let's get this show on the road. So, but soft. What light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. So obviously that's imagery. Any non-plebeian would understand this. So this is the most famous scene in the history of all of theater, I think it would be safe to say. And Shakespeare begins it with some fantastic imagery. So Romeo sees this light streaming from Juliet's bedroom window, though she is not visible, and he compares this streaming light to that of a sunrise when the sun's rays are radiating above the horizon through, though the sun itself is not visible. So yeah, just some lovely, you can really imagine that scene as you're walking through the woods, the break of dawn.
Yeah, and quick promo for the Instagram. Check out the Instagram for a nice little meme I made.
Oh, Matt, she's so proud. I'm
so proud of this. I think it's really funny. Never been done before.
We were in a call for like 3 hours before. That was all she was talking about. That was just I would keep on going like, yeah, and great tragedy struck my family, and she'd go, oh, but this meme though. Have
You'd
you
be like,
seen this
yeah, so
Vine?
going through some really tough times right now. I'm like, okay, yeah, but like this meme I made. It's
Okay,
real
yeah,
good.
but
Really sad. I know, yeah, no, but this meme.
this meme. So, folks, we have but soft, what light through yonder window breaks. That's just some very self-explanatory imagery. And then, of course, Rowan, would you like to? I almost called you Romeo, as I'm prone to do. Would you like to go on?
Yeah. So after that, he goes, arise for sun and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief, that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. So real quick, some language that thou, you, or Juliet in this case, her maid or virgin worshipper, art far more fair, beautiful than she. So here, Romeo is imagining Juliet as a worshiper of Diana, the goddess of chastity and virgins, and her symbol is the moon. So and kill the envious moon. Whacked my ring light. Loving that.
Very top-notch content here, folks.
Guys, quality content. Yeah. So here Diana is envious because Juliet is more beautiful than she is, and it's made Diana pale with grief. That explains why the moon's light is sickly and pale compared to that of the sun. So we've got a little bit of comparison here and a little bit of like light dark. I really hope nobody heard that. Comparing the sun and the moon here. Romeo calls on Juliet to rise and kill the jealous moon, which the real sun will appear to do once it rises above the horizon and the moon becomes barely visible. Yeah, so keeping on with that Juliet sun theme here.
Yeah, no, it's great. It really is a great scene if you're just breaking it down. It really it's iconic for a reason.
That's what I say to anybody who like disses Romeo and Juliet. I'm like, listen,
exactly,
it's iconic for a reason.
But not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. What does that mean? Well, I'll tell you. So
please do.
So here we go. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. So the green sickness, or the virgin's disease, is a disease of, not a disease, but here, allow me to describe it. So when a girl reaches puberty and starts menstruating, and please forgive me, folks, I'm trying here. She
if we need to tag team this, let me know. I've got you.
I got you. I'm right there.
I got you.
Thank you, Rowan. Thank you. Always good to have someone to fall back on in this specific case. So when a girl reaches her, goal of puberty and starts menstruating, oh boy, she can lose.
Do you need me to do this?
No. I'm fine. I did it before I could do it again. She loses so much blood. She can lose so much blood, I should say. No. She has.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
She has the ability to lose so much blood that she becomes anemic, right? And her skin can turn a greenish yellow. And so this condition called the green sickness.
I'm not laughing at you.
Oh, you 100% are. What are you talking about? And the virgin's green sickness, or the virgin's disease, rarely seen today because it is very easily treatable. But in Shakespeare's day, it affected about 1 in 5 is the estimation. So
young women specifically.
Yeah. Oh, men don't menstruate.
Exactly. So, that's my point.
young women specifically, just wanted to point that out.
We just keep digging. We're just digging.
Oh boy. But yeah, so much blood. Mother Nature just slapped him right up the side of the skull. And yeah, so
pretty much that's about how it feels. Yeah.
Rowan, take it. Rowan, take it away.
So I'm just gonna finish you off there. Ooh. It was also known as the Virgin's disease because it mostly affected young unmarried women. And in that time, if you were unmarried, that just meant you were a virgin. Because you context clues, guys.
Not nowadays, am I right, gents?
And according to standard medical advice from the time, the cure for this disease was simple: have sex. So essentially, calling Diana a virgin, which we all then knew. Yeah. And for a little bit of translation into modern text here for to make it make actual sense. Essentially here he's saying, don't swear off men like the virgin moon goddess Diana. The moon envies you anyway. Her virginal appearance is weak and pale, and only fools want to emulate it. So essentially telling her to stop being a virgin and get with him. Anyway, cast it off. Here Juliet appears in the balcony. It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Not a ton here. Really just noticing, oh my gosh, it's Juliet. He notices that she's talking, but he can't actually hear her. And he's like, yo, what is why? I want to hear her, you know? And we see that when Juliet speaks again, that it's a little bit of a like, oh my gosh, Romeo's talking now. We're kind of going back, and this is what Juliet was saying. Yes, okay. Her eye discourses, I will answer it. I am too bold, 'tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all of the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. So two of the fairest or brightest stars in all the heaven, having some business, or that's pretty self-explanatory, do entreat or request her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. So in 16th century, it was still widely believed that the stars were fixed to like a giant sphere that revolved around the earth. Not entirely accurate, but you know. And here Romeo's imagining that Juliet's sparkling eyes are taking the place of two of the stars in this sphere of stars. So essentially just talking about how bright her eyes are.
Having some business to entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. God, just like such great lines in these passages.
Really. It's so fun to like read. I had to do this monologue for a theater earlier this year, and it was very fun.
If I had to recommend a passage where almost like every line is just amazing, Rape of Lucrece, please read. Amazing stuff. But anyways, so what if her eyes were there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheek would shame those stars as daylight doth a lamp. Her eyes in heaven would, through the airy region, stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were not night. Okay, so that passage, bit of a simp, this guy, right? I mean, let's be real. But so he takes his earlier comparison of these spheres in her skull, but he takes it more literally, and he goes, what if the stars were in her face and were her eyes? Well,
what if stars were in face?
There's another meme, go check out the Instagram. And so what if her eyes were there, they in her head? So what if these bright shining orbs came down and replaced her eyes? Well, she as a person, specifically the brightness of her cheek, would shame those stars, because she's just so bright and pure and lovely as daylight doth a lamp. So I mean, I have a lamp right here, but he's comparing like just the actual sun to this lamp right here, just the stark difference between those two, which obviously is very apparent, which is impossible, of course, but a little bit of hyperbole never hurt anyone.
Never.
Her eyes in heaven would, through the airy region, otherwise known as the atmosphere, how we know it today, stream so bright that
I
birds
learned that today.
and think it were not night. And so, of course, she is such a bright person that her eyes, if they were in heaven and replaced by these orbs, would be so incredibly bright that they would almost replace that they would replace the sun, and animals would come out thinking it were day because there would just be so much light from her shining, glimmering, beautiful eyes. Off you go,
This is really just the Romeo is a simp, a monologue.
Yeah, that's what I definitely try to do. If any of my friends try and say anything nice about any person that they might be interested in, I just call them a simp immediately and tear away any sort of comfortable feeling that they had in my company. Like, disclosing their feelings to me is just not going to happen. So you were on C.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you were done. Okay. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I wear a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek. Not much really to go into here. Really just he wants to touch her cheek, and she's like, imagine if I were on her a glove. I wear that glove on her hand touching her cheek. I
may, she speaks, and then that whole next passage is it turns out she's just crying out from just something horrendous just happened in the Capulet household. But that this whole next passage is one giant simile. So she speaks, "Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night, being o'er my head as is a winged messenger of heaven unto the white, upturned, wondering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him when he bestrides the lazy, puffing clouds and sails upon the bosom of the air." God, that's a sentence. That is a sentence.
It's a sentence. That's one thing about this whole scene, is that it's not as like intricate as, say, like a Mercutio monologue like Queen Mab, where it's just like constant innuendo and so much double meaning, but it's so metaphorical and so much comparison and simile, and it's much lighter.
Yeah, it's much more colorful.
Yeah, than I think the rest of the play, or at least the play up until now. And what's interesting to me is that there really isn't a ton of rhyming. Like, they really rely mostly on language and form a little bit, as you'll see later with some shared lines. But would you like to explain that simile?
I would like to try. So this very self-apparent. So Juliet, he's just really digging into this whole thing of Juliet as an angel, right? And so he takes this idea and he goes, "Oh, she's this winged messenger of heaven." And he compares his looking up at Juliet to mortals looking at an angel because she's just that amazing, apparently. I know. I hope to feel this way someday.
Yeah, I think this is like the quintessential, like, I hope I'm this in love with somebody one day, that I can just like pull similes out of my butt.
I'm pressing X to doubt that one, but we'll see. All right. Off you go. Off you get.
So now we got the famous, everybody knows it, everybody loves it. Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?
But what does wherefore mean, Ron?
What does wherefore mean, Ty? It means why. I think a lot of people. I mean, so here she's asking, why are you Romeo? Which is, it's like, what even is a knife? Like, why? Why are you Romeo? It seems like such a stupid question.
It seems that way.
Sorry, my sister came in here.
Oh, how dare she?
So she's asking here, why are you Romeo? Why are you a Montague? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet. So here she's saying essentially, disown your family, refuse your name. Just stop being a Montague. And if you won't, swear my love, and I will stop being a Capulet. So pretty much she's just like agonizing over the fact that their families are not, that they're not supposed to be in love. It's like, as one does.
So close,
and she's saying
so far.
Pretty much. she's saying, if you won't stop being a Montague, I'll stop being a Capulet. We'll do whatever it takes.
And then Romeo, of course, likes to pipe up at every conceivable moment. And he
Pretty
goes,
much.
shall I hear more or shall I speak at this? I don't even need to explain that one. Should I speak right now or shall I listen in? Maybe I do need to explain it for me. Should I listen in or speak right now?
Yeah.
He listens in.
Juliet, that's also an aside. So it's not actually, he's talking to the audience here, asking for the audience's advice, which didn't mention it before, but in Romeo's initial monologue, if we're thinking like from an acting perspective, he's really talking to the audience. He's asking the audience. He's conferring with the audience. I don't think that's the right word. He's really just talking to the audience, like, "Yo, this is a very beautiful woman."
Yeah, it depends on how you direct it.
I guess. It depends on how you direct it, how you perform it, how you perceive the text, how you interpret it. Yeah. Anyway,
he's just like, so this Montague is outside this woman's window, just fantasizing and just going, how is it possible that someone on this earth is this beautiful? A little creepy.
Again, he doesn't go outside a lot.
Not a lot. And, when he does, this happens. So,
as we've noticed, when like every time he left the house before, it was because he was agonizing over Rosalind. Yeah. He was depressed and in love with Rosalind, and now he's out here like showing up at women's balconies like, I love you.
But we have a whole chunk of Juliet text.
We do.
Go for it.
All right. 'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. What's Montague? It is nor hand nor foot nor arm no face. Oh, be some other name belonging to a man. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other word would smell as sweet. Again, another iconic line. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo doth thy name, and for thy name, which is no part of thee, take all myself. So it's, again, nothing too complicated here, more just like going on about that name thing, getting kind of philosophical if you think about it. She's really just she's really kind of detaching Romeo from his name, in a way that which we call a rose by any other word would still smell as sweet. So like, if you take this rose, if you were to call it, I don't know, Jeff, it would still smell as sweet as a rose smells.
Although you would have a little bit less respect for it.
Shut up. And at the end, so I'm just gonna go ahead and translate this. If it's only your name, which is my enemy, you are who you are, even if you weren't a Montague. So then she goes on, what is a Montague? It's not a hand, nor a foot, nor an arm, nor a face, nor any other concrete part of your body. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? A rose would smell sweet. Romeo, if he had a name besides Romeo, would be just as perfect as he is with that name now. And then she goes to ask Romeo, take off your name, and in exchange for that superficial part of you, take all of me. So essentially, she's just kind of saying, stop being a Montague, and you can have me.
Oh, man.
It's a really messy way to explain that, but you get the point.
This is like a guy's dream right now. Just renounce your name and we'll see what happens.
We'll go from there.
Romeo, at the stage direction aloud, pipes up at this and goes, I take thee at thy word, now speaking to Juliet. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth, I will never be Romeo. And so what this means, again, very self-explanatory. Romeo has a lot of those coming further down into the scene. But I will take thee at thy word. So he's obviously referring to Juliet's speech just previous. And he goes, you know what? I'll take you up on that offer. Call me but love, not Romeo, and I'll be newly baptized. I'll be a new person. Henceforth, I never will be Romeo, because she seems to take such grievous offense with the name Romeo.
He's like, yo, you hate my name. I get it. I'll change my name. Just love me. Yeah. So then Juliet continues. What man art thou that thus bescreened in night, so stumblest on my counsel? So she's a little creeped out. Like, who is this man? Who is this man hiding in the night, overhearing my very private thoughts that I'm speaking out of my balcony? Yeah. So she's kind of like, yo, you hear something?
And then Romeo goes, by a name I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear
So
saint, is hateful
passive-aggressive.
to myself because it is an enemy to thee. Had I had written, I would tear the word. So he's just really, just such a simp. He's really digging in and going, you know what? I would tell you who I was, but we seem to have kind of ruled that out. So I'm not sure exactly how to address myself.
Out of context, it's a very passive aggressive couple of lines there. It's like,
by a name.
It's like, my name is hateful to myself because it is an enemy to thee. It's very aggressive if you take it out of context. But
cannot wait to see you play this.
By a name, I know not who I am.
I've instantly invited. So by a name, I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself because it is an enemy to thee. Had I had written, I would tell the word. I would tell you, but you seem to hate the word Romeo, so I'm not really sure how. But had I written the word Romeo out, I would tear it just in my show of hate.
Yeah. So once again, pretty self-explanatory. Really just bowing down to Juliet right now. And then Juliet responds, "My ears have yet not a drunk. Nope. My ears have not. Nope."
Can you tell it's late? My ears have not yet drunk.
Thank you. 100 words of thy tongue's uttering, yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo and Montague? So Romeo just went on this whole spiel about how he's aware of her hatred for his name, so he's not gonna say it. So Juliet's like, yo, you're Romeo, right? I haven't even heard you speak 100 words, but I recognize your voice. Aren't you Romeo and Montague? Again, pretty self-explanatory. Romeo responds, neither, fair maid, if either thee dislike. So again, neither if you dislike either of them, neither if either displeases you. Again, really just milking the fact that she doesn't seem to like his name, either of them for that matter.
This is what every partner wants, and the other just complete and utter subservience, just absolutely
complete submission.
Rolling over onto thy back. So Romeo goes, neither, fair maid, if either they dislike. He's met with the same problem. I would tell you, but I can't seem to be able to do that because you hate the words Romeo and Montague so much. So he goes, neither, fair maid. Gotta slip in that beautiful. Neither,
that
beautiful
compliment
one.
there.
Yes. If either they dislike, if you dislike either one. And then Juliet responds with,
how camest thou hither? Tell me, and wherefore? Why? The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and if the place death, considering who thou art, if any of my kinsmen find thee here. So like I said at the start, or maybe I didn't say it, I know I mentioned it, but a lot of this scene from here out is just pure communication. They kind of drop the flowery language. They kind of drop the metaphor and just interact. I was gonna say something else, but I don't know what it was. So here she's asking, how did you come here and why? Why'd you come here? The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and if you're found here by any of my family, you'd be killed, considering who you are. So once again, just really nailing it in that Romeo's a Montague and hated. And she's just like, yo, why are you here? They go and find you and they go and kill you. Pretty self-explanatory once again.
To which Romeo responds, with love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out. And what love can do, that dares love attempt. Therefore thy kinsmen are no stop to me. What does that mean? I'll tell you what that means. So with love's light wings I did o'erperch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out. Does not really answer her question as to how exactly did you get over these walls. But he's overemphasizing. No, I not overemphasizing. What he's using hyperbole to demonstrate how deeply ensconced in love he is.
Which from Romeo doesn't really mean much.
No, he seems to do that every 5 seconds. So
really,
with Love's Light Wings, and of course, I would imagine, I know this is going back to more of a Cupid love is light, airy, wingful, if you will. With Love's Light Wings, did I approach these walls? Did I come over these walls? For stony limits cannot hold love out. And what love can do, that dares love attempt. That means someone in love will dare to attempt anything which love is capable of, even if that means the possibility of getting me killed. Therefore, thy kinsmen are no stop to me. Therefore, your
he's really
Capulets got nothing.
He's really just placing so much faith in love right now, which is it's actually kind of beautiful. It's perhaps idiotic, but beautiful. Juliet replies, if they do see thee, they will murder thee. So really just reminding him, you're not supposed to be here. If they find you, they will kill you.
I don't believe. Nope, she has not said a word of love to him yet.
No, she's just more concerned with the fact that he's not supposed to be there.
I mean, he took a mad gamble coming out here.
He really did, and nobody seems to realize that, except for I guess Mercutio did earlier. But
oh yeah, well,
he always does. He sees the flaws in everything.
Romeo pipes back up and goes, "Alack, there lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity." So again, hyperbole. Alack, there lies that hyperbole. More peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Your love affects me so much, and it's so dangerous to me that it couldn't even match 20 of their swords. If you look just sweet, as I'm sure he feels she is right now, well, that first paragraph, look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity, and I am defended against their hatred. Because love.
So he's just like, he's real desperate right now. He's like, please just look lovingly at me, please, I beg you. Yeah, so then Juliet replies, I would not for the world they saw thee. I would not for the world they saw thee here.
Now this has to be, I would imagine, portrayed in at least in some renditions I've seen as just a huge puff of relief, like a visible physical relaxation, because this, at least in some respect, means that she doesn't want him dead. So yeah, this.
I also think it can be very much dependent on who's producing or directing the play, because I would not for the world they saw thee here. I wouldn't have them see you here for the whole world. So that could just mean like he doesn't want him dead, or I guess in the context it wouldn't really apply, but it could also mean a slight like, I don't want you here. Like, get out. Like, it's midnight. You are in my garden. Get out. But unlikely, just a thought. But yes, I think Romeo is definitely like very visibly like shoulders like what's the word? Lower, release. I saw a couple inches.
That word, yes.
That wasn't the word I was looking for, but it works. Yeah, so then Romeo replies, I have night's cloak to hide me from their eyes, and but thou love me, let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than death prorogued, wanting of thy love. I don't think that's how you pronounce that word, but we're going with it.
It's prorogued.
And if only you love me, let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than death prolonged, lacking of thy love. So he's really just harping on the fact that like my love for you is greater than any threat to my life. But he's also kind of like, get a life. Like, unless you love me back, let them find me here. Like, you've known this girl all of 5 minutes and you're already like, I will die if you don't love me back.
Well, they did as pilgrims do in the shed back there. So it's more of
it's better that It's better that my life would be ended by their hatred than prolonged without your love, which is sweet, I guess.
Sweet, I guess.
I guess.
I don't know. By whose direction foundest out? Oh, foundest thou out this place? These Juliet lines, I don't know why they're tripping us up, but by
I
whose
know.
direction or how, why are she's still trying to figure out how this man got here, how this man
She's so confused.
she's so confused. And then Romeo is like, but love.
Love. It was love.
By love, it just first did
all you need is love.
Inquire. He lent me counsel and I lent him eyes. I am no pilot, yet wert thou as far as the vast shore washed with the farthest sea I would adventure for such a merchandise. Okay, so again, very creepy if you're not into it. But I don't know. He lent me counsel and I lent him eyes. Again, he's personifying love and he goes, love led me here. Love. He gave me advice and of course I followed his path. And I'm no pilot, I'm no navigator of any fancy ship, yet wert thou as far as that vast, desolate shore washed with the farthest sea, far, far away, I would adventure, I would journey for such goods. And of course, you have a little bit of a metaphor. So Romeo compares himself to the captain of a trading ship, as I've discussed, venturing on a dangerous voyage across a vast sea to obtain valuable merchandise, this being Juliet. This is an apt metaphor for a period in England's history when bold ship captains and risk-taking investors were opening sea lanes to the Caribbean. So, yeah, a bit of a cultural reference as well as a metaphor. But yes, Juliet, I believe, finally opens up. We'll find out. Rowan, take it away.
Thou knowest the mask of night is on my face. Else would a maiden blush bepaint my cheek for that which thou hast heard me speak tonight. Fain would I dwell on form, fain deny what I have spoke, but farewell compliment, dost thou love me? I know that will say aye, and I will take thy word. Yet if thou swearest, thou mayst prove false. At lovers' perjuries, they say Jove laughs. Let me take that back before I get carried away. A little bit of word play here, maybe. Fain or happily would I dwell, rely on form, etiquette. So happily would I rely on etiquette. Fain deny what I've spoke, but farewell compliment or formalities. So I wish I could deny what I said, but oh well, goodbye formality. She's just kind of like, yeah, so wish you wouldn't have heard what I said, but it's fine. It's fine.
It's okay.
It's great. No going back now. Dost thou love me? I know you will say aye, and I will take thy word. Yet if thou swearest, thou mayst prove false. So she's really just like, I know you'll say yes and I'll believe you, but if you swear it, I worry you might be lying. So really just now she's finally kind of opening up to the love thing, but much more wary than Romeo seems to be. You know, Romeo's kind of jumping into it head first, like love, I love, I'm in love with you, love this, love that. And Juliet's like, yeah, but I don't trust it.
I think now is a good time to keep in mind that Juliet is customarily played by a 13-year-old girl, as is the plays, as does the play say her age.
Yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah,
Romeo.
Later on,
for some reason he's always played at 16, although I'm not sure that that's anywhere specifically in the play.
That's one thing to like wonder about, is Juliet's age is very much like a topic of conversation. Like anytime, you know, later we'll meet Paris, if we haven't already, who will, spoiler alert, ask for Juliet's hand. And Mr. Capulet, Lord Capulet, Mr. Capulet's funnier. He's like, yeah, but she's 13, my guy. Like, she's not even 14 yet. And it's just constantly brought up how young she is. Whereas Romeo, we never really hear. Like, it's not mentioned once. It's not really alluded to in any way. But I do think the general consensus is that he's around 16. So that would put the age gap at about 3 years.
Which isn't that much, but given this young, that's painfully much.
Yeah. Like if you were to think about it in later years, it's like, oh, 28 and 31, not that bad. But the fact that she's 13, that's bad. That's weird. But it's fine. It's fine. It's not fine. Anyway, it's not fine. But it explains why she's a lot more hesitant on the whole idea of love. And when her mother, which we have gotten, it's so hard to keep track of what's happened already. But when her mother asks her to start thinking about marriage, to start looking for a proper suitor, she's like, well, I'll look to like if looking liking wilt, or look to love if you know what I'm saying.
Like if looking liking
move, not wilt. That's what the line is. It's fine. I was looking at wilt on my page, that's why. Yeah, so she's a lot less eager to love as Romeo is, which is very apparent here. Anyway, as I was saying, but if you swear it, I worry that you might be lying. So she's like, how do I know? How do I know you actually love me? How do I know you're being truthful here? At lovers' perjuries, they say Jove laughs. So here, lovers commit perjury or breaking an oath so often that it's said that Jove, the king of not the king of gods, Jove, the king of gods, laughs when it happens. So as they say, Jove laughs at lovers' betrayals. Would you like to take it from O Gentle Romeo?
Sure. O gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully, or rather truthfully in this instance. Or if thou thinkest I am too quickly won, I'll frown and be perverse, and say thee nay. So thou wilt woo, but else not for the world. In truth, fair Montague, I am too fond, and therefore thou mayest think my behavior light. But trust me, gentlemen, I'll prove more true than those that have more cunning to be strange. Okay, that's a fair chunk of text. So, O gentle Romeo, not even. If thou dost love, pronounce it truthfully. Or if thou thinkest I am too quickly won, I'll frown and be perverse and say nay. And say thee nay. So, O gentle Romeo, if you do love me, then I would like you to say it, pronounce it. If you think I'm too quickly won, as seems to be the case in my completely out of analyzation, Mike, she's a bit, I don't know. If thou thinkst I am too quickly won, then for your benefit I will frown and be stubborn and say no, I refuse thy love so that you can woo me. But otherwise, I wouldn't do that for the world. I am very much in love with you. In truth, fair Montague, I am too fond. I do love you, and therefore thou mayest think my behavior is light or promiscuous. But trust me, gentlemen, I'll prove more true or upright than those who have more cunning to be strange or shy. And then it leads off with, I should have been more strange. Take it away.
Should have been more strange. I should have been more strange, I must confess, but that thou overheardst ere I was ware my true love passion. Therefore pardon me and not impute this wielding to light love, which the dark night hath so discovered. So you've got a little bit of wordplay here, albeit insignificant, but there's the antithesis here of light love followed by dark night. Once again, pretty insignificant, but may as well note. Yeah, so she's saying here, I should have made you try more. I'm not gonna lie, but then you overheard my speech there at the balcony, and where there's no going back. So pardon me for my boldness, and don't think I'm taking this lightly in the dark night. Really just like kind of not folding back on herself.
Just really kind of deciding, no.
Yeah, she's really just like, listen, had I known you were there, I would have played a little harder to get. Like, I wouldn't have exposed myself so aggressively, but you heard me, and we're here now. We're in it now. Yeah. So then Romeo comes in with what does Romeo come in with?
Lady, by yonder blessed moon, I vow that tips with silver all these fruit tree tops. And then it cuts off.
And he gets interrupted.
He gets interrupted, and
by yonder blessed moon, I vow.
So Romeo goes, okay, I see your rules, I see your justification. I will try and follow them as best I possibly can. And so he starts to vow and say truthfully what he means. Lady, by yonder blessed moon, I vow that tips with silver all these fruit tree tops. And then he's cut off. But that's quite a swell bit of imagery we have there. So Romeo begins to swear his love until he's, of course, interrupted, as I've said. He swears by the moon, which, as it passes across the night sky, appears to be a silver ball atop the fruit trees in the orchard. So very, very descriptive. And then Juliet comes in.
Yeah. And one more thing about that Romeo excerpt there is that we're kind of going all the way back to the beginning of the scene, or the beginning of the scene with that moon reference there. So it's a very common theme we're seeing with this scene, is the constant comparison to the moon and the sun, and very like astronomical themes. So Juliet interrupts, swear not by the moon, the inconsistent moon, that monthly changes in her circled orb, lest that thy love prove likewise variable. So just these two lines, we get a lot. So, swear not by the moon, the inconsistent moon. As we all know, we've got the phases of the moon. The appearance of the moon is constantly changing during its monthly course around the earth. And it's hardly the object by which a lover would want to swear his or her consistency. That monthly changes in her circled orb or orbit. We're going back to that thought that the stars were believed to be fixed in a giant sphere that rotates around the earth. The moon was also thought to be fixed in a different sphere, which also rotated around the earth, but just a different speed than the stars, lest that thy love prove likewise variable. So you might prove your love just as inconsistent, just as impermanent.
And then Romeo pipes up and goes, well, I'm really trying here. What shall I swear by? And then Juliet goes, do not swear at all. Or if thou wilt, swear by thy gracious self, which is the God of my idolatry, and I'll believe thee. So to dissect that, as I've said, Romeo goes, come on, give me something. Juliet says, don't swear at all. Or if you must, swear on yourself, which I already behold as much as a God. I already revere you, right? So I'll believe you if you do that. Romeo tries, as we see, but yeah, go on.
If my dear heart's, let me take that back. If my heart's dear love, so if my beloved, and then he gets cut off again. Juliet, just really not making up her mind here. Well, do not swear. Although I joy in thee, I have no joy of this contract tonight. So in Shakespeare's time, all it took for a couple to be married was for them to swear an oath of their love for each other. So a contract of sorts. So not like modern where you have to sign a document. You just saying I swear I love you was all it took, and you could just in that time immediately start going at it without committing a sin or breaking the law. Because reminder, in that time you could not go at it, so to speak, without being married.
Nose to the grindstone.
So for a marriage contract to be enforceable in a court of law, it required a witness. But that could be anybody, even the barmaid in a pub. So in this scene, when Romeo swears his love for Juliet, he's essentially proposing that they become married right then, right now.
He climbs right on up that balcony and just
goes ham.
As my delightful co-host would say, get at it. As my very romantic co-host would say, just Pounding hard and relentlessly. So go on.
So when Romeo is swearing his love for Juliet here, he's essentially just proposing that they be married. And it's no wonder Juliet's like, calm yourself. And she's not exactly happy rushing into such a contract, especially without a witness, without it being valid, you could say. So then she goes on, it is too rash. Don't shake your head at me. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden, too like the lightning with which doth cease to be ere one can say it lightens. So Juliet's comparing their relationship with Romeo to lightning in that it's moving fast and she fears it'll end just as quickly. So we all know lightning, it's there and then it's gone. And so she's hey now, you're a rock star. No.
That would be a whole different.
Yeah. So she's just saying this is going way too fast for me. It's too unadvised, it's too sudden, it's too fleeting. So she's like, sweet, good night. Take it away. I've been talking for too long.
Sweet, good night. Sweet good night. This bud of love, my summer's ripening breath, may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. Good night, good night. As sweet repose and rest come to thy heart as that within my breast. Okay, so sweet good night. This promise of love might bloom when next we meet, like a bud matured into a flower under the heat of summer. Good night, good night. May you be as content as I. That has a double meaning.
As we've become quite familiar with in this play.
This has a double meaning, and it goes, well, maybe our love will have blossomed. And the other meaning is
Go on.
I'm still going through puberty. Maybe my body will have blossomed more by when next we meet. I'm sorry, Ron. It's true. It's there's your double meaning, folks.
Love to hear it.
Romeo goes for the jugular. He just goes, yeah, okay, go.
Another little bit of double meaning here. Oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied? So
I want it
dang,
now.
man. All right then. She's like, oh, are you gonna leave me so unsatisfied? And yeah, so they're kind of
She's
getting
not
into
really
that.
into it right now, my guy.
She's not at all. And he's like, okay, come on, baby. Let's just do it.
Have you seen this? Are you really gonna? I mean, come
You're really
on.
just gonna like do me like that tonight in the dark of this orchard here tonight, this balcony? You're gonna do me like that?
There's a delightful little tree over there. Anyways.
Oh boy. And Juliet's like, what satisfaction canst thou have tonight? Really just playing dumb there. Or maybe she's really just curious. Who knows?
Yeah, and then Romeo backpedals.
He backpedals right on out of there.
He backpedals so fast he almost makes a beeping noise, and he goes, well, the exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine.
And yeah, there's not much to explain there. He's just like, oh shit. And then Juliet's like, I gave thee mine before thou didst request it, and yet I wouldn't were to give again. He's like, well, I wish I had my vow to give it to you again, but I gave it to you earlier, man.
Well, wouldst thou withdraw it? For what purpose, love? Okay, and this this delightful little bit. You'd take it back for what? Why would you take it back? And then
it's not like I'm being really creepy right now.
No. What?
Juliet says, but to be frank and give it to thee again. So here Juliet's use of the word frank, we've got a bit of a double meaning. In one sense, frank just means free. So Juliet wants to be free to give her vow of love again. To give her vow of love again. Oh my God. And then in another sense, the word means generous. So Juliet just wants to be generous to Romeo by repeating her vow of love. That's how she wants to be generous. And yet I wish, but for the thing I have, my bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love is deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite. So
Okay, now to Romeo's credit, if I'm in the middle of a date and she turns to me and goes, "My bounty is as boundless as the sea," I take that to mean I I take that to mean one thing.
do you?
Am I wrong in thinking that one thing?
So here she's saying, my desire to give to you is as big as the sea. My love is as deep. The more I give to you, the more I have, for both my love and the sea are infinite. And interrupting this wonderful discussion, the nurse calls from within the house, off stage, to which Juliet replies, or I guess reacts with,
"Oh, I hear some noise within. Dear love, adieu." So she's going to go with the nurse. The nurse, very impatient, yells again from within the house. And she calls back, going, "Anon, good nurse, I'll be right there." And then back to Romeo. "Sweet Montague, be true. Stay but a little, I will come again." She's like, "Okay, you be faithful. I'm going to go buy time. I'll be right back."
And then she exits for not the last time in this scene.
Not nearly.
Yeah, so from here on out, we've got a little bit of push and pull between Romeo and the nurse on Juliet's side. Romeo, whoa. Romeo responds, "Oh, blessed, blessed night, I'm afeard being in night. All this is but a dream, too flattering, sweet to be substantial." So now that Juliet's left, he says, he's like, "Oh, I hope this isn't a dream. It's too good to be true." To which Juliet re-enters the scene
and goes, "Three words, dear Romeo, and good night indeed. If that thy bent of love be honorable, thy purpose marriage, send me word tomorrow by one that I'll procure to come to thee, where and what time thou wilt perform the rite, and all my fortunes at thy foot I'll lay, and follow thee, my lord, throughout the world." So here's what we have. 3 words, dear Romeo, which is, it just means one more thing. It's just like 1 second when it never really means 1 second. 3 words. Dear Romeo, and good night indeed. If that thy bent, if thy purpose, if your desire of love is honorable and not and you're not just being horny, then I would love to honor it. If your purpose be marriage, send me word tomorrow, and you'll send me word by one that I procure, by one that I find to go to thee. You'll send word back through them where and what time you will have the rites performed, the marriage rites performed. And if you do this, I'll be there. I'll lay all my fortunes at your feet and follow you throughout this world.
Yeah, so she's really just saying, if you really mean this, tomorrow we'll do it. We'll get married. The nurse, once again, this time we have more, it's a line. She calls from within, "Madam."
What does that mean?
What does it mean? Well, it means madam. Deep stuff there. "Juliet, I do come anon, but if thou meanest not well, I do beseech thee." She gets interrupted. But here we've got, "I come anon" to the nurse, "but if thou meanest not well, I do beseech thee" to Romeo. So here she's saying, if you're not serious, then I beg you. She gets interrupted by the nurse with another "madam." Juliet replies to the nurse, "By and by I come. I'm on my way. Just give me a minute." Then back turns to Romeo, continuing her thought, "Cease thy strife and leave me to my grief. Tomorrow will I send." So essentially her whole thought here is, but if you're not serious, then I beg you to quit pursuing me and leave me to my grief. I'll send someone to you tomorrow. And then Romeo replies,
so thrive my soul.
And then Juliet 1,000 times good night, and then she leaves again.
Not for the final time, as you might
Absolutely
think.
not. Definitely not.
So Romeo goes, agreed. And she goes, great, 1,000 times good night, I'll see you. And she leaves. And Romeo goes, well, 1,000 times the worse to want thy light, to lack thy light. Love goes toward love as schoolboys from their books, but love from love toward school with heavy looks. So, I have a delightful little wording here. So, 1,000 times good night, says Juliet, 1,000 times the worse, because, I love your company. You're so bright, vivid, love you so much. Love goes toward love. And, he's comparing love to magnets, or in this case, as schoolboys from their books. Even back then, school was not a pleasurable thing to endure. But love from love towards school with heavy looks. So he's referencing a kind of school of love here in this instance. And he's saying that love from love, when they part, they look back to school with heavy looks. So he's just playing on opposites here and going, love attracts love. And from it, there's just discourse. The world is in disarray. So, and then Romeo retires slowly, only to be interrupted by Rowan.
Juliet comes back, guys. How crazy is that? She left again. She came back. Never would have expected it. Hist, Romeo, hist, or just psst, 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 psst. Sorry, that was really aggressive.
It's very aggressive.
Oh, for a falconer's voice to lure this tassel gentle back again. So tassel gentle is a male falcon. And back in Shakespeare's day, training falcons was a popular sport and a form of hunting. And Juliet wishes she had the skill to lure Romeo back with her voice, as a falconer can call his falcon back with just his voice. Bondage is hoarse and may not speak aloud, else would I tear the cave where echo lies and make her airy tongue more hoarse than mine with repetition of my Romeo. So here, bondage, we have a few little analogies here. Bondage is, or metaphors, I guess you could say. Bondage is hoarse and may not speak aloud. Being a child in a formal household, I am bound to certain rules which prevent me from displaying my emotions freely. Else would I tear the cave where echo lies and make her airy tongue or loud voice more hoarse than mine with repetition of my Romeo. So one of my favorite Greek myths here. Echo was a nymph who consorted with Zeus, king of the gods, but when Zeus's wife found out, she punished Echo by limiting her speech to repeating the last few words she heard. And Echo is often portrayed as living in an isolated cave. That is also just one version of the myth. There's others where she simply ratted out Zeus for consorting with a different nymph and blah, blah, blah. All in all, it ended with Hera punishing her to only be able to repeat the last few words she was spoken to, or that was spoken to her, or that she heard. So yeah, I don't need to go any deeper into that. How does Romeo reply to this?
Well, it is my soul that calls upon my name. How silver sweet sound lovers' tongues by night, like softest music to attending ears. So it is my soul that calls upon my name. Upon my name, Romeo refers to Juliet as my soul, as if the two of them had already been joined together as a single entity. And so he just really pushing it.
Really pushing it.
It is my soul, it is Juliet that calls upon my name. How silver sweet. And then, of course, this is just completely different. How silver sweet sound lovers' tongues by night, sound lovers' voices by night, like softest music to attending ears. Which, I mean, were we to enact this scene without tripping up a few times, as it's coming up here, Nias, which I'd like to go over. But anyways, it really is a beautiful passage. And it's almost a little bit as though Shakespeare's complimenting himself.
Yes, we've got, like I said before when I mentioned the shared lines, we've got 3 here. And all that really means is Shakespeare wrote in form, or in verse, I guess. And so when you've got the shared lines, it would be as if these three different because Juliet, Romeo, Juliet. So it's all as if it's all in one line written in the same line of verse. So it'd be Romeo, my dear, what o'clock tomorrow? But obviously spoken by the two different characters there.
My Nias,
my it's my dear, my Nias. It's the whole thing.
Yeah, this is quite embarrassing because I practice falconry or hawking, and I've never once come across this term
Really?
in years. Yeah, I've never once. But yes, go on.
Yeah, so Juliet is once again trying to steer the conversation back on track so she can get back to her nurse. She says, Romeo. Romeo replies, my Nias, or my dear in some translations, or I guess in some versions. And that just picking up on Juliet's metaphor earlier, in which she called Romeo a falcon, he now refers to her as his Nias, or a baby hawk. Juliet keeps on with, what o'clock tomorrow shall I send to thee? So once again, just like, listen, I get it. I'll send somebody for you tomorrow. And she's asking when, pretty self-explanatory, by the hour of 9. Once again, another shared line here. So we're getting into a lot of shared lines in which essentially Shakespeare's just drilling into the fact that they're kind of already working as one, as Romeo already compared to them, as Romeo already thought of them as being one entity. Now they are sharing lines, continuing each other's thoughts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And upon hearing of Romeo's at the hour of 9, I will I will be available. Juliet goes, I will not fail you. 'Tis 20 years till then. I forgot why I did call thee back. So I'm not going to fail. I'm Juliet. All right. I don't do that.
Guys, I'm Juliet. Like, come on. Cut me some slack. Give me some credit here.
And then she goes, 'tis 20 years till then, which I I keep forgetting her actual age, but I would imagine no, that's pretty accurate for that day's life expectancy. It was 20 years since until I will expire or my body will fail and I will die. And then she goes, I forgot why I did call thee back. Why are you here again? What did I say?
And then Romeo says, let me stand here till I remember it. So really just, I'll happily wait in your presence for you to remember. Juliet replies, I shall forget to have you stand there, remembering how I love thy company. So she's just saying, I will intentionally forget why I called you back, just so you don't have to leave. So it's a really sweet interaction here. And it's it kind of reminds me of like when you're like fight over who's gonna say goodnight first, like who's gonna get off the phone first. Like, no, you. Well, no, you. It's like, well, I'm just not gonna talk, so you don't have to leave. And Romeo, and I'll still stay to have thee still forgetting any other home but this. Stop this, cut this off. 'Tis almost morning. I would have thee gone, and yet no further than a wanton's bird then lets it hop a little from his hand, like a poor prisoner in his twisted gyves, and with a silken thread plucks it back again, so loving jealous of his liberty. So we've got, it's a little weird actually. It's almost morning, and I want you to go, but I don't want you to go further than a little hop from my hand before you're pulled back, like the bird of a spoiled child who keeps the thing like a prisoner out of jealousy for its freedom.
And then Romeo responds going, I would I were your bird. I wish I was your bird so that you could take care of me. And then Juliet responds with, sweet, so would I, yet I should kill thee with much cherishing. Good night, parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night.
That I shall say good night to thee tomorrow. An iconic line there. And then Juliet finally exits for the final time.
Absolutely. But sweet, so would I, yet I should kill thee with much cherishing. I would look after you. I would essentially pet you to death. I would look after you so carefully, and I would give you so much affection that it would kill you. It's like squeezing with love just to death.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then Romeo, to finish us off.
Sleep, dwell upon thine eyes, peace in thy breast. Would I were sleep in peace so sweet to rest. Hence will I to my ghostly friar's close cell, his help to crave and my dear hap to tell. First mention of our dear friend Friar Lawrence. Really love the guy.
Just
Can you sense the sarcasm?
Great guy.
Yeah, so sleep, dwell upon thine eyes, peace in thy breast. Pretty much just sleep well, sleep tight, don't let the Shakespearean version of sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite. Wish I were sleep in peace.
Don't let the bed bugs cherish you too much.
Yeah. Wish I were sleep in peace so sweet to rest. Or if only I could be sleep in peace to rest there with you. Hence will I to my ghost spiritual friar's close cell or cottage. So a friar is a member of one of these several Catholic religious orders. And in some ways, friars are like monks. They both take vows of poverty and chastity, but in other ways, they are very different. Monks retreat from society and live an ascetic life in religious devotion to a self-sustaining monastery, whereas a friar lives out in society and is devoted to providing services to his community, services that we will become very familiar with in this play. His help to crave or ask and my dear happiness to tell. So I'll go to the cell of my priest, I'll ask his help and tell him about my very good fortune. And then he too leaves.
Exeunt.
And that is the end of this very long scene that we've haphazardly stumbled through.
That is our analysis today, folks, in as much detail as we could possibly muster, as you lot seem to enjoy. Yeah.
As we very much enjoy these episodes, or at least I do.
You know, and if you'd like to hear more banter between us and just our lives, who we are as people, and what we think on the complex issues of the world, as I just grill Rowan relentlessly, listen to Listening In, a new podcast that we've launched featuring, wouldn't you know it, us.
Crazy how that works.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's definitely more, it's less, it's unscripted, unstructured, very much kind of what we were going for with this podcast, but didn't end up achieving. Mm-hmm. We just kind of talk. You just listen in on our conversations. Very clever name. I love it. I love everything about it.
As do I. It's quite the little passion project. And so
we're not
check
really.
that out.
Yeah, we don't have much of a schedule. We're not like we're going to post every week. It's just kind of as we feel the inspiration strikes. So yeah, go check that out. Listen to us talk about, as the first episode is called, and this podcast is called, anything and everything.
But yeah, yes, with that, we thank you guys very much. We hope you enjoyed this specific episode, and
check out all of our things, all of the places: Instagram, TikTok, the website, YouTube now with video.
Which I promise you, Instagram and TikTok, those things are going to be booming.
They're going to be. I have ideas. We've got a really great Romeo and Juliet meme that I'm very proud of, as I mentioned. I've got some ideas for the TikTok. You'll be getting clips.
At anything and everything pod.
Behind the scenes. Also check out our Discord, where you can most of the time listen to us record, listen to us plan.
This, keep in mind, is all found in the description of wherever you are listening to this podcast.
Also the website. That's kind of like the hub for everything.
Where you can sign on to be a guest of the show, should you so choose. Do be interesting, though, and have a topic to talk about. That always helps.
Always helps. Love that.
Always helps.
Always helps. With that,
we love you, people. We've come to the end of our time. Not as much as Romeo loves Juliet, but we do love you nonetheless.
Yes, we do. And good night, bye.
Good night, bye.